This is Dr. Alicia Bright. I'm back for the second half of our lecture on vision, mission, and creativity. So in the first half, we talked about organizations, and we gave a nod to Max Weber, and we talked about how visions can create an understanding amongst everyone in the organization about what you're trying to accomplish, what your values are. And we talked about Mother Teresa and her vision of being with the very poor in India. Now I want to talk a little bit about creativity and reflective practice. And then we're going to set you up to do the assignment, which is posted on Moodle as an assignment, where you're going to go in and you're going to write your own mission statement. So let's talk about that. Being creative in your practice, we spend a lot of time learning the rules in nursing. Well, there's room for a tremendous amount of creativity, and this current COVID-19 crisis illustrates the need for creativity in nursing. Now we're having to get creative in learning how to take care of potentially an overwhelming number of patients without proper PPE, how to come up with the PPE that we need. So there's definitely room for creativity in nursing practice. And in fact, I'm sure that you can think of examples that you've already encountered in your practice as students. Reflective practice, as you've had to do assignments, reflective papers, reflection papers, this practice actually grows parts of your brain. It makes you more, wiser, really. You learn better from your experience. That improves your ability to communicate, improves your ability to make good, wise decisions, and it's a self-fulfilling or a sort of a positive cycle where as you become more aware and you make better decisions, you develop your ability to be aware of where you're at, what your circumstances are, what your mindful awareness is. So as I said, you can grow your creativity, those centers of your brain that help with creativity and also executive function or decision making. There's a reflective practice, mindfulness meditation, that has been studied carefully. They've done multiple MRI studies. They can actually measure the changes in the density of the prefrontal cortex when someone meditates for 20 minutes or more every day for 6 weeks. That's all it took. And they already saw measurable increased density in the prefrontal cortex. Imagine the people who meditate quite seriously have brain changes that sort of dwarf that. So it's rather fascinating if you want to get into it. Actually, the plasticity in the brain is pretty wonderful. So we talked about the importance of vision, and of course, how you see yourself. How would you like things to be? But we can fantasize all we like. What matters is how do we actualize that vision? So an example of this is something that might start out as a personal agenda or a pet peeve. Then it can get developed and communicated and develop buy-in from other people, and that's what effects change. That's what makes things happen. So an example of this is a couple of moms in the East Bay who decided they needed housing. They were mothers of small children, and there was an empty house, a house that was vacant in their neighborhood. It was reclaimed by the bank, repossessed, and these mothers and their children moved into that empty house because they needed housing. They didn't just move in, they communicated with community organizations and other people in the neighborhood and discuss why they were doing what they were doing. And through their actions, they drew attention to the problem of homelessness in the East Bay. They got the city to buy in, and they got the banks to cooperate on this, and eventually the city made a larger commitment to providing housing for homeless families. So this is how they started, with a personal agenda. They needed housing for their families. They developed this. They talked to each other, came up with an idea. They moved in. to a house, and they communicated to the whole community and made some changes happen in the East Bay. So my question for you is, who do you want to become? How do you see yourself in a few years? Who do you want to be? A few years, some nurses decided that they had a vision of being able to practice in an organization that was going to be supportive of nursing and excellence in nursing. So they developed the concept of magnet hospitals, the idea being that if they designated a hospital as an excellent place for nurses to be, that this would draw nurses to that hospital. So the American Nurses Credentialing Center developed criteria for hospitals to be, and healthcare systems to be defined as magnet hospitals. There were 5 components. They buy into transformational leadership. If that's there, they get to check that box, and that's one of the criteria. Structural empowerment means engaging nurses in the leadership component, engaging nurses in shared governance, engaging nurses in policy making and decision making, staff nurses. These organizations support excellence in nursing practice and innovate and create new knowledge, improve nursing practice. Also, they set goals and measure outcomes. Another aspect of organizations is values. So, as you know, values are learned and can change over time. Some things that were important to you 15 years ago are probably not as important at this point, right? You've kind of grown up a lot in 15 years, I'm sure. And in 20 years, your values are going to change again. Things will there are some things that don't change, but some of the things that are important to you now will be less important to you in the future. As we said, leaders need to be very clear on what their personal values are, and they need to be able to communicate their values. And as we examined last week, followers can choose to affiliate with leaders who share their values. So you're going to choose leaders based on what's important to you and what's important to that leader. Examples of mission statements. Google, to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. And I think they've done a pretty good job of that. Back in the day without internet, you'd argue with somebody about what was true. Now you just Google it and you find out for sure what was true. NASA sends people to the moon. Their motto is, "We reach for new heights and reveal the unknown for the benefit of humankind." Now, that expresses the value of shared humanity. Notice this is an American organization, right? This is a governmental public-private partnership organization. And they're talking about working for the benefit, not for the USA, not for Americans, but for humankind. So that value is expressed. NASA intended to be the world's leader when they wrote this, not just the leader of space exploration in the United States, but throughout the world. The Smithsonian wants to increase and diffuse knowledge throughout the world. Nordstrom's, those of you who are Nordy shoppers, their mission statement is to give customers the most compelling shopping experience possible. So you can see as you read through these, some of these are things that you can buy into more easily than others, right? Like you'll have an affinity for some mission statements more so than others. And it's helpful, I think, when you're talking about working within an organization, take a look at their mission statement and see if this is something you can affiliate with. For instance, I have no interest in working for Nordstrom's. Their mission statement really doesn't excite me. In fact, it kind of creeps me out, but that's just me. You make your own decisions. So this is my personal mission statement. I wrote this because I hadn't thought about it in years and years, and I thought, well, I'm teaching about it, I should update mine. So this is what I came up with. I creatively engage with a diverse population of nursing students to facilitate the development of excellence in the area of leadership, innovation, and ethical practice among nursing professionals. So just a couple of things to point out here. I identify the population that I want to work with. And diversity shows up in there because that's important to me. I like working in an area that brings people together who have different backgrounds. My family is very diverse, and I feel comfortable in that kind of environment, and so I thrive in it, and that's included in my mission statement. Excellence is in there because I really value that, and leadership, innovation, ethical practice. You know me, ethical practice is very important to me. What you don't see in here are the day-to-day details, right? I don't put in here the fact that I really, one of the things I want to do is advise nursing students because I really enjoy it. That's not in here. That is included in sort of this more global statement. You don't see anything in here, the details of, I want to make sure all nursing students understand acid-base balance really well, right? That level of detail is not in this. It's included under excellence. I want to do what I can to help students understand the basics of nursing care so that they can thrive professionally and provide excellent care to patients. So those details are sort of subsumed under the broader terms that I've used in my mission statement. Well, now it's time for you to come up with your mission statement. As I said, this is an assignment. It's posted in Moodle. You can find it under this week's lecture in Moodle. Go ahead and submit it that way, and that way I can give you feedback. And as Mahatma Gandhi said, be the change you want to see in the world. So I want you to think deeply about your own values, come up with a vision statement and a mission statement. And this stuff is not set in stone. It'll change, but it might give you something good to put on your resume to catch people's attention, and it'll help you understand the level of commitment you're ready to give to any given organization. All right, that's it for now.